Shut up, fool! Josone, yes, you're first again, 1,000 Pine Points. Tim Doran, 500 Pine Points for you for being in second place. And Danny, 3648. No, you're not second. Sorry, you're third, but you get 250 Pine Points. And the Lou Animated Place, that's a new name. Sorry, you're not good enough. I don't care what your mom and dad told you, but you didn't make it. But what you could do to make yourself feel better for not getting Pine Points is you get 0 sugar, antioxidants, sparkling ice, grapefruit. Cheers. Oh, that's refreshing. Okay, so the title of this live stream, I got about an hour and a half before my golf game. And it's been a while since I've talked about these very popular preachers like Steven Furtick. Who's the other one? The guy in Houston. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean, the guy with the eyes and the teeth. Most pastors do have eyes and teeth. These prosperity type gospel preachers. I just want to make a comment that these preachers, these pastors, what are they pastors? Do they actually do pastoral work? I don't know. But these preachers, they're smarter than William Lane Craig. These preachers are smarter than any apologist. I'll make that claim. They're smarter than any apologist that I typically review on my channel. Now, why do I say that? I say that because these preachers like Steven Furtick of Elevation Church, where is he? In North Carolina? I forget. Yeah, Osteen. Thank you, Dirty Texan. Osteen, Furtick, they're smarter than these theologians, these philosophers, these apologists. For one simple reason. They meet people where they're at. I mean, there are so many hurting people who have terrible weeks. They go to these churches and they come out feeling refreshed. When Christians listen to an apologist, I don't think that happens. I don't think they leave feeling, after hearing what these apologists have to say, I don't think they leave feeling refreshed and invigorated. Now, maybe sometimes that happens, but sometimes, I think most of the time, they leave feeling frustrated and end up having more questions than when they originally went in. They hear things like, what are you talking about, apologists? I didn't know this, and now I have to study this and this and this. I have to read this book and this book and this book. But these preachers get it. They get that people are hurting. And they just want hope. And that's why these preachers are smarter. Now, I could be cynical as well and say that they're smarter because they've tapped into a need and they're supplying a solution to that need and therefore making lots of money. I'm sure it's no exaggeration that Steven Furtick makes more money than, I would say, any apologist out there. I could be wrong. But I'm not saying that. That's the cynical part of me. If you're a Steven Furtick fan or an Osteen fan, the non-cynical part of me is saying, yeah, these guys are meeting you where you're at and supplying the needs. Yesterday, I was on Digital Gnosis's channel. Great channel, by the way. He's a good-looking young man. named Nathan. and I was on his channel. He was gracious enough to let a whole bunch of people on. And there was a young earth creationist there named, what's his name? Otangelo. And then there was Rob from Sentinel Apologetics, who believes in evolution via common descent. And Otangelo doesn't. He used to, but he's now a young earth creationist. And those two guys were going back and forth for, I don't know, what was it, 10, 15 minutes? No, probably more. And Rob was trying to convince this young earth creationist that he's wrong. And I didn't hear most of it because I left him, and I came back and I said, look, what's the real issue here? And I said, isn't the real issue for Otangelo that he needs the idea of Jesus, and when he contemplates the idea that evolution might be true, and Jesus refers to Genesis and refers to the Old Testament, refers to a lot of things that the evolutionists would say, oh, it never happened. He's put in a position where his whole worldview will come tumbling down if he gives evolution via common descent a second look. Like if he entertains the idea that it's true for him personally, there's so much he'll lose. He mentioned he was suicidal previously, and that Christianity does indeed give him hope, meaning, and purpose. I asked him all these questions. And when you're a old earth creationist like Rob, and you're trying to talk to a young earth creationist, my advice is you be like Steven Furtick. You try to meet them where they're at. That's your only hope in changing their mind. Because right now, he just believes there's no way. There's no way my Jesus can be wrong. And you're telling me my Jesus is wrong. Furtick only teaches to non-believers? No, I think a lot of believers are in these churches. I don't think he's basically a motivational speaker. But what I'm saying is that's a smart thing to be, as long as you're not motivating people to hurt other people. Now, is Steven Furtick doing that? I don't know. I haven't watched enough of his stuff. But maybe I can see some of the prosperity gospels being very harmful because it's not in line with reality, in my opinion. But I want you to give Steven Furtick a listen to here and compare and contrast in your mind what he is doing, what so many apologists don't do. And it's COVID times, and so his church, I think, is basically empty. There's some people in there, of course, and so you don't hear a lot of the energy. But he's still very highly effective in what he does.
Squats. I'm not doing it so my face can look pretty. I'm doing it so my muscles can grow. So this may not be the prettiest part of my life, but by faith, I believe it's going to be the most productive. The most productive parts of your life will not be the prettiest. The greatest miracles in your life will come in the middle of the biggest mess.
I like this, to be honest. What he's basically doing is setting expectations that that you will have troubles, you will have trials, but in those trials will be opportunity.
Am I anointed, or did I take too much caffeine? He said, actually, what happened? And he doesn't go into this long list of events. Holly, he doesn't go into like a long list of events. Some of us are more verbose than others. Like when Holly tells me what happened in her day, it takes her.
He's talking about the Apostle Paul here.
More word count because she's smarter. To get it done, she's like paragraphs, and I'm like sentences. And Paul doesn't even give them a sentence on his condition in prison. Food sucks, y'all. Pray for me. It's loud here. He doesn't give them a single sentence.
I like this too. You know why? It actually bothers me when people tell me their problems. It's like, Shut up already. We all have problems. Some have more problems than others. It's I don't know if it's my Dutch German background, but yeah, you don't complain. The way I was raised. Maybe I'm complaining that people complain. I guess so. So I'm a hypocrite, I guess. But what helps me, and I think what he's doing here is something I do often in my own life, and that is when I'm having a bad day, the good that has come out of my sister's death and extreme suffering, if there is any good of it, it's helped me put perspective in life. So if you're having a bad day, ask yourself, can you walk? If you're having a bad day, ask yourself, can you eat? Because there's a lot of people in this world who cannot do those things.
I wonder why. I wonder by this point in his life, does he have his priorities straight? To know that what is happening in me is always more important than what's happening to me. I wonder, do I have it straight? Not really, not yet. I'm still confused.
This is part of the reason why I detest critical race theory. No, I gotta be careful. This is part of the reason why I detest some proponents of critical race theory, because it's all about, look what you have done to me. And this message is, don't complain about what others are doing to you. Focus on yourself first.
Formed to the pattern of this world. I'm still acted upon by external events, you know? If I feel it, I believe it.
Well, if I was a little smarter, I would start a church.
Paul's past that. Paul's like, look, I can sit here and tell you all about prison, blah, blah, blah. I've been here so many times before. It's not even worth wasting the papyrus that I would write it on. I only got so much scroll, and I don't want to take up the time telling you how bad my day was. I don't want to spend so much time just thinking about and talking about and guessing about all this stuff that I can't control. So what I want to focus on instead is the fruit.
Yeah. I agree with this. This is a great message. This is, instead of talking about the Kalam cosmological argument, all these arguments for God, what he's talking about is personal responsibility. You can't control people around you. You can't control at least a lot of the things around you. But what you can control is the fruit of your own life. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm converting this from a Christian message to a secular message, but a little different flavor of secularism that you hear so many preach today.
And what has happened to me, get this, beneath the surface, God is growing something greater than our minds can imagine. Something's happening in the soil. Something is happening in the soil. Something is taking root in your heart right now. In this season of my life, God is giving me a root system. In this season of my life, God is teaching me to focus. In this season of my life, remember, I'm looking forward to normal. God is pruning some stuff out of my life right now to make me ready for what's next.
Yeah, and I would just replace that with, you can prune yourself. You don't need a God to do that. Thank you for the donation, Lavington. I hear Jesus is pretty winded from that 400-meter dash. Yeah, that's funny. Someone should write a short story, not a book, a short story of Jesus. I know there's the infancy gospels out there written in the 4th century or whatever, 3rd century. But someone should write a story of Jesus as a teenager winning races in high school. That'd be hilarious.
Can I get one witness in this room that God is rooting me, establishing me so that I can bear more fruit? Well, we like the fruit, right? But the root's kind of boring, kind of not too sexy, kind of ugly when you get down to it. You ever put roots in a vase and handed them to somebody for Valentine's Day? Now I want what's on the other side. We all want what's on the other side. On the other side of the Red Sea, I'm going to give you praise, Lord.
You know, I agree with this too. He's talking about the difference between the roots of a flower and the flower itself. And so often we humans just want the flower and don't realize what it takes to plant the roots, take the time and effort to water, fertilize the flower, and we just expect to have the flower. Again, he's talking about personal responsibility.
God, when we get back to church, I saw y'all on Instagram. I've been going through your Instagram posts. Everybody that tagged me or Elevation Worship singing a song. I scrolled through them. Ask Abby, ask Graham. We spent 3 hours last night just scrolling through y'all. Some of y'all couldn't sing on key, but we still enjoyed seeing you sing these songs. I saw so many people say, when we get back to church, oh man, watch out. Well, why wait? Why wait? I thought you were church. I thought the Holy Spirit lived in you. Jordan, if you were at Riverwalk, you'd be standing up shouting me down. Why you need a crowd to shout me down? I thought the Spirit of God lived in you. So now look, we love to shout over fruit, but fruit without root doesn't last long. I want something sustainable in my life. I want not only the blessing of God, but I want him to build me up so that I can bear up under it. I want to yield my...
Yeah, what would be the secular form of this? You can build yourself up. You can take incremental steps every day to make yourself better. And it doesn't have to be on a major thing, just little things.
Fruit in season, in season, in season, in season.
And really, I think this is what Christians do. They say it's God building me up, it's God who's working in me, but really it's them and their community doing it themselves.
Season. There is a time for everything, Solomon said. There is a season to mourn. So if you're mourning right now, that's the root. But you will rejoice in the mourning. That's the fruit. And I'm not focused on what I'm going through. I'm focused on what God is doing through it. Focus on the fruit. Focus on the fruit.
Yeah, and it so many times humans focus on what other people are doing to them, saying it's not fair. The focus should be on how you can make your situation better.
Focus on the fruit. How was your week? Well, it depends. What part about it do you want to know? When I almost strangled my kids or when I hugged them? I did both. The part where I was walking around the house cussing.
See, this right here is exactly why he's smarter than most apologists. Because almost every parent can relate to this, of the emotional swings during a week of wanting to kill your kids and wanting to hug them. You won't hear apologists like Frank Turk, well, maybe sometimes, but rarely actually connect with people in this way.
Under my breath, or the part where I was singing, Amen. Because from the same mouth, the fruit of lips that profess his name and the fruit that will tell you other stuff too. So listen, out of this great season of uncertainty, somebody put again in the chat, I do not know. You are allowed to say that. I don't know what makes people think that preachers know stuff that we don't know. People will ask me the weirdest stuff. If a cat dies in the middle of the night and the owner went to church the day before, would it get to heaven or does it have to pray? I don't know about your cat. In the book of Revelations, where it talks about the horse and the da-da-da, and the heavens and the earth and the sun. I said, I didn't break open the scroll. The lamb did that. I'm not the lamb. I'm a dumb sheep like you.
When's the last time you've heard an apologist admit that they're a dumb sheep like you? This is why Steven Furtick makes millions of dollars a year, and most apologists don't. He's relating to people. He's saying, I'm not over you. I'm with you. I don't know things. I can't believe I'm supporting Steven Furtick here. But you got to give credit where credit's due, right? And I can be cynical. Yes, there's many bad things I could probably say about these pastors. And I probably will as I keep listening. Who knows?
U-E-W-E-U. Oh, wow. It's deep. Y'all wake up. We don't have long. So knowing that I don't know, what a powerful concept. Knowing that you don't know makes you open to wisdom.
He's basically describing the scientific method here. Realizing that you have provisional knowledge and you admit, and the more things you know, you learn, the more things you realize you don't know.
Knowing that you don't know. I talked to Greg Rochelle yesterday about when church is going to open and this and that and the other, and all the states are different. And I don't know if our governor's ever going to let us out the house again. or not, but certain states in the United States of America open up. Certain nations are more open than others, and we're all on different waves dealing with coronavirus. If you're watching this in a time capsule in 2032, things were weird. This was not like Elevation Church had a bad growth season. We weren't allowed to come, okay? But I was like, what do you think, man? Another month, another 6 months, another 12 months? Will we go to church and come back? And we went back and forth, just talking, just burning up our data plan, talking to each other. And finally I said, do you know what the most smartest thing that we've said, the most smartest thing we've said on this whole call was? When you said three minutes ago, I don't know. That's the smartest thing either of us have said.
Yeah, and in contrast to some other preachers that I've heard, well, not preachers, but Christian prophets who say, we do know Trump won the election. We do know that he will be back in office. At least this guy's saying, hey, we don't know. We don't see the future.
And so here's what's really cool about right now. We are all idiots at the same time. We are all equally ignorant of what comes next. Nobody's got a crystal ball. I know your uncle's.
This is perfect. I mean, you can learn a lot of things from a guy like Steven Furtick. If you want to squash tensions between opposing worldviews, you could say an atheist and a Christian or Muslim are talking. Here's a tip. And it's not like you're lying, because we are all idiots in certain aspects of our life. Just admit to the person you're talking to when you have that opportunity, I'm an idiot. You could be right. I don't know this stuff. I tell you, the conversation, the empathy will just immediately rise.
Cousin's friend worked for the Pentagon. Shut up. Hearing from everybody. Well, my dad went to college with Dr. Fauci. Shut up. Nobody knows. Paul didn't know. Nobody knows. Are my kids ever going to have a real teacher again? Nobody knows. Then they might send them to school and they might send them back, right? Nobody knows. When is the economy? Nobody knows. Nobody.
Except for God. Except for God.
Oh, the depths of the wisdom of the riches and knowledge of God, how unsearchable his paths beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord, and who...
What's interesting about this is he says nobody knows all these certain events in today's time. But I think he would say we do know what Jesus said in the Gospels. We do know what Paul said, and we do know that this reflects God. We do know what the prophet said. We do know that we can trust the Bible.
Has been his counselor. This is Romans 11, right before Romans 12, where it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. He says, oh, the depths of the wisdom of the riches and knowledge of God, how unsearchable his pathways beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord? Who knows? Not me. Not me.
Does Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Paul know?
Not you. Not Paul.
Oh, no. Okay.
Paul always had an answer. You know, he was, one man said, he was often wrong, but seldom in doubt. You know anybody like that? That was Paul. Paul always knew. And look, you're going to see him. He starts this passage. He says, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, verse 12. And then by the time he gets to verse 22, he says, I do not know. So how are we supposed to know if you don't even know, right? I love this because the truth is in the tension. Hermeneutical principle 101. The truth is in the tension.
Apologists, do you know that the universe with a capital U, all the cosmos, had a beginning? You know, our reality had a beginning in the Big Bang, at the Big Bang. But do you know that any type of cosmos, any type of universe had a beginning? That the material realm had a beginning? Do you know? Really? You do know?
So the presence of faith does not eliminate uncertainty. In fact, it operates by uncertainty. Can I preach like I saw it in the text? He said, I want you to know that the gospel is going forward. That's the important thing. And as a result, it has become clear, verse 13, throughout the whole palace guard. Wait a minute. He's talking about clarity, but he's still not defining the outcome. His clarity is not about the outcome. His clarity is about God's presence in the process. What a word. I'm focused on what God is doing in me right
Yeah, I'm wearing a collared shirt today, Chen, because I'm going to go golfing right after this. And it's a blacks only golf course, but they're letting me on. But I have to wear a collar.
Right now, I can't control what politicians do. I can't control how long this prison sentence is. There is something outside of my control. But this is what I told Elijah in the pound the other day, Graham. I'm giving him life lessons, and I think this has to be number one. Just if you strip it all away, and I don't even need a Bible verse for this, but if you strip it all away, this is what I taught him. The only thing you can really control is your focus. What you gonna do, make it sunny? What you gonna do, make it rainy? What you gonna do, make people...
Is there anybody here who disagrees with this? Like, you can influence other people. You can recommend things to other people. But what can you really control?
Nicer? You gonna make people stop being crazy? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna pray away the virus? Look, man, I'm praying just as hard as anybody for stuff.
See, again, how many preachers have you heard do just that? Pray away the virus. I think he's saying you can't do that.
Stop being crazy? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna pray away the virus? Look, man, I'm praying just as hard as anybody for stuff that I can't control. That's all I can do. But what I can control is my focus.
It sounds like he's admitting that prayer, it doesn't really change the future. And prayer is more for you, your internal well-being, which is basically like meditation. I agree with this.
I can control my focus. Not me, Pastor Furtick. Pastor Furtick, I
Oh, is that how you say his name? Furtick, not Furtick?
can't control my focus. I'm ADHD. I am not talking about physical focus. I'm talking about emotional focus. I'm talking about spiritual focus. I'm talking about focusing your priorities. Now, the fruit of the Spirit is...
Baal Diablo says he's not preaching Christianity. That's why we don't disagree with him.
love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Galatians 5:22 and 23, cross-reference for your Bible study. The fruit of the Spirit is joy. The fruit of the Spirit is joy. But the root of the Spirit is priorities. What you are planted in. What matters to me.
You gotta love the camera work.
Paul's message. He's writing back to the church that he founded in Philippi. He led that purple cloth dealer Lydia to the Lord, and the city was never the same. He got locked up with Silas in prison in Philippi for preaching the gospel. Remember that story? Most people don't know that he is writing a letter to the same people who only have a church in their city because Paul was thrown in prison. Did you hear me? The only reason there is a book of Philippians is because Paul was thrown in prison. The only reason that he writes, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13.
Lavington asks, what is the vegetable of the Spirit? Yeah, you have fruits of the Spirit, vegetables of the Spirit, and you have meat of the Spirit. The meat of the Spirit is Jesus himself, because atonement was accomplished through the death and resurrection of a piece of meat. So really, that's the main food.
Then was able to do, wait, no, that's Ephesians 3:20. Philippians 4:19, able to do, no, that's Ephesians 3:22. What's the one in Philippians 4:19? No, 4:13 is I can do all things. Philippians 4:19, 19, I want that. I want 4:19. I know, what? That through your prayers and God's provision. No, verse 19 says, my God will supply all your needs. But yet Paul is saying, I don't know how this ends. But yet he's saying, my God will supply all my needs. But I
wonder if he really believes that his God will supply all his needs. Maybe in his life. I don't think he has many needs in his life right now. But for other Christians, like there's Christians on this planet who die of starvation, yes? Can we not say that God did not supply their need of food?
don't need to know how it ends to know that I'm going to see the glory of God in the middle of it. Some things I don't need to know. I don't need to know. That is why I am encouraging you to limit your intake.
I think he's wearing lifts. Those boots look like they probably have an extra inch in there. So he's probably 5'8", even with an added inch or two.
Of the news. You do not
I noticed the most interesting things.
need to know everything up to the minute. Amen. You do not need to know the things that you cannot directly affect. You do not need to know all the details to take your next step. Just ask Abraham. You do not have to know the 10-year plan for your life to give God your best today. You do not have to.
I mostly agree with this. I think there's part of life is that struggle between how much do you focus on the future, how much do you focus on the present, and how much do you reflect upon the past. And I think you have to do all three things. But I think you'll find what separates how people behave in life is what allocation they make to those three tenses. I think people who complain a lot tend to focus on the past. People who worry a lot focus too much on the future. And what's the bad side? I don't really see a bad side of focusing too much on the. Well, no, you can focus too much on the present if it's at the expense of the past and the future. But maybe if you're a person who's struggling in life right now, ask yourself, do you focus on the past, present, or future more? And maybe shift those around and see if that helps you.
To know how long until there is a vaccine for a virus to praise God and worship God for the life that he has given you in this moment. And releasing my need to know is the hardest thing, because I thought that information was the key. But yet, Paul says there is a confidence that goes beneath knowledge. Let me sit back down.
Thank you for the donation, Sean. You do not need to know how ignorant you are. Yeah, well, there's one thing you probably do need to know about how much you don't know. But thank you for the donation.
Because I got more to say about this. In fact, I haven't even started my sermon yet. Paul said,
Josh Howard says, I think that's actually some deep wisdom from Doug. Well, yeah, no charge. If you try shifting your focus from past, present, future. Ask yourself, like I'm probably myself. I'm probably 70% present, 20% future, 10% past. And I'm a pretty happy guy. But I have a feeling that people who focus like 80% past, 10% future, 10% present, I have a feeling they're sad people.
because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters, verse 14, have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more. I'm going to praise him all the more. Oh, thank you, devil, for challenging my faith. It's going to make me more grateful. Thank you, Lord, for pruning my branches. It's only going to make me more fruitful. More fruit, more fruit, more fruit, more fruit. I don't know who it's for, but you're going to have more fruit. Even if you got a little, that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love. This is all the stuff Paul can't control. He's like, yeah, some people are talking about me. Yeah, there's some idiots out here. Yeah, I got trolls too. Yeah, I just block them and move on. Isn't it crazy how you just focus on the one thing that's against you? Do you do this too, or? Okay, pray for me. This is what I do. I focus. I can have 1,000 people say something nice to me, one person say something nasty. And I will snuggle up to nasty. What am I doing? I'm being immature. That's immature. It means I'm not rooted enough yet in love.
That's immature for people in Alabama.
To know that God is for me, who can be against me?
That's true. How many good comments does it take for you, the listener right now? How many good comments does it take to cancel one bad one? I'm trying to think of what's the ratio on my YouTube channel. I really don't know. My guess is it's 80-20. 80 good comments, 80% good comments, 20% bad. Bad meaning just, derogatory and dismissive and you're going to hell or you're stupid or whatever.
Paul knew that. He knew that. He actually wrote that. If God is for me, who could be against me? So he knew it. He wrote it. He said it. It came from within him. He knew it because it came from within. I almost called this message, Holly, she hates when I do this. She says, just give it one title. Don't give it the alternate titles. But here's the alternate title for this message. Prison sentence. Prison sentence. Because we hang up Philippians 4:13 in a weight room. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul wrote that sentence in a prison. Prison sentence. I wanted to know what's going to come forth out of your life in this season of frustration. Prison sentence. I could do a whole series on prison sentences. It has a double meaning. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I'm going to bear some fruit while I do. I am like a tree planted by the streams of water. I don't know how long, but I know how high, how wide, how deep, how unsearchable is the love of Christ. I know that it is beyond my comprehension. I do not know, but I know there's more fruit, more favor, more faith. So he said, I'm gonna ignore what I can't control. I'm going to ignore what I can't control. Yeah, but Paul, don't you need to be informed? You think you get informed by watching the news? You think you get informed by receiving fragmented information? No. Paul said, focus on the fruit. The fruit. You will know the tree by its fruit. We should step all the way back real quick before we get to this really good part of the passage.
I don't know what to say about what he just said here. Do you think you get your information from the news? Like, it's obvious a lot of news is not news, right? It's obvious that the news media, or some of them, whoever that they are, print things on purpose to rile up the emotions of people. Like, that's why you hear about so often bad things, from traffic accidents to you name it, scandals. And very rarely do you see in the news, you do once in a while, but heroic events. So how do you trust the news? How do you trust what you read? I think you would use the historical method in a lot of ways. You look like 2 or 3 or more independent sources that have a good reputation, that are independent. So, for example, if you want to be really cynical, you take the far right, the far left, Fox News and MSNBC. They're both agreeing on something. I think you can raise your confidence that it's probably true.
I still haven't gotten to the good part. Man, I just feel like I know something that you don't know yet, and I can't wait to show you what I know that you don't know yet. It's so good, it's so good, it's so good.
What's my favorite news network? I don't have a favorite. I don't actually watch TV. Does anybody watch TV anymore? It's all on the internet, and with the internet, you can basically search whatever you want. I do go to CBC, BBC. I do watch Fox News once in a while. I do watch MSNBC. I think it's good just to watch a bunch of different takes. I love one specific news item, and then I love hearing different biases talk about it. It's fascinating to me. It's like listening to a young earther and an old earther Christian side by side, like I did yesterday.
But for now, let's go back a couple thousand years. Real quick, let's go back to normal. Okay, everybody wants to get back to normal? Let's get back to normal for a minute.
I did say what I shot in golf. On a really good day, high 80s. On a really bad day, yeah.
Adam and Eve are naked in a garden, and they can eat anything they want, and they don't have to Uber.
Would I consider the Wall Street Journal the least biased? No.
Uber Eats it, DoorDash it. It's just there, and that was normal. It was normal. So
it's what's interesting about the news is people, I think, have different levels of BS detectors. Some people have a really good BS detector, and they've been demonstrated to be right more times than not. And some people have a terrible BS detector. And I'm going to make a claim right now. People who are highly compassionate have bad BS detectors. I can tell you stories after stories I think I might have told this story before, but there was a young woman who made friends with my sister, and she was in the U.S. Doesn't matter how they met, but anyhow, she ended up staying with my sister and brother-in-law for a year or 6 months, and got tons of money from them because she told my sister that she was running from family members who were abusing her. And I smelled BS. My BS detector was going off big time. There's many aspects of the story I don't want to get into, but the reasons why my BS detector was going off. A year later, it turns out I was right. I don't know how much money my sister and other friends gave her, but it's like they were sucked in because of their compassion. And compassion, don't get me wrong, compassion's a good thing, but too much compassion is terrible. It blinds like nothing else. There's like, it's similar to a mother trying to believe that her child committed a murder. Like, yeah. And I don't know if I should just come out and say, be less compassionate, because that sounds horrible, right? But try to have in life that BS detector be willing to go off in the presence of that compassion. And so you can sort of look at that BS detector. Something's not right here. But yet, oh man, I want to help this person. This person's hurting, but something's not making sense here. You got to keep both in tension with each other.
Some of us are so used to scarcity that abundance doesn't even feel normal to us. And when God brings it, we reject it because we've never known it before. Deeper, God will send someone to love us, but if they love us too much, we will push them away because we are not used to receiving fully.
Ooh. He's hitting me hard right now because I think I'm that way. I like my social circle to be extremely small. Like I don't mind having a bunch of acquaintances, but like really close friends, I like it very small and tight. And so is that me? Am I the type of person who, if someone showers me with love, yeah, it's kind of icky to me, especially if it's someone I barely know. For sure. I'm not weird in that, right? Most people, I think, if you've known someone for a week and they're showering love on you, I think your BS detector should go off. And you should okay, that's enough. Back away slowly.
And so we do what Adam and Eve did. Do you remember what they called the tree remember, Abby? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Of the knowledge.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I know a lot of Christians struggle with this, with that story in Genesis. Doesn't God want you not to have knowledge of good and evil? Doesn't God want Adam and Eve to have knowledge of good and evil, what's right and wrong? But God said, no, don't touch that tree. I don't want you to have the knowledge of good and evil. I want you to be like a sheep. Just do what I say. Just follow orders. I know a lot of Christians struggle with that.
And do you remember what the snake told Eve? He said, if you eat it, you'll be like God, knowing the difference between good and evil.
A vibe killer says, I love you, PineCreek. Get away from me, a vibe killer, before I block you.
Y'all, they didn't get in trouble because God didn't like apples. They got in trouble because they lost focus. Of all the things God had given them to eat, of all the choices that God has given us, like we have a choice how we spend this time. You made a good one today. You know all the crap you could be watching on YouTube and you're in church? Give yourself a clap hand emoji just right now.
Okay, that's a little too far. Like you make a lot of bad decisions, but you made a good one today by watching me.
Just to thank God, I made a good choice today, a quality choice today. I'm going to plant myself by streams of water this week, not by stagnant ponds of...
Chen asks, who let the snake in the garden in the first place? Well, God did, of course. It was part of his plan. If the snake wasn't in the garden, if Adam and Eve didn't take the fruit, then sin would not have entered the world, and then Jesus couldn't come to redeem It was all part of the plan.
Misinformation and speculation. So I'm going to plant myself today. I'm getting my roots right. That's what Holly said to me. She was going to the beauty shop. Remember beauty shop? She said, I'm going to get my roots right. Put it in the chat. I'm getting my roots right. That's what I'm doing today. I'm getting my roots right. I'm getting my roots right. I'm getting my mind right. I'm getting my belief system right.
There's some psychological profiling about people who repeat themselves over and over again. You know what? Is there a psychologist in here who knows what I'm talking about? I'm not a psychologist. I just play one on YouTube. But like Trump did that a lot. Is that narcissism? No, that's not narcissism. But it's a form of effective communication. And maybe it's also just, maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Maybe it's just a way to vamp before you figure out what you're going to say next.
I'm getting my priorities right. I'm finding out what really matters right now. I'm going to do it in this prison cell. I'm going to see something. God's going to show me something. The gospel is going to advance through this season. We're getting our roots right. And yet Adam and Eve, they wanted to know. They wanted to be God. They wanted to know. They wanted to be God. Our need to know is what keeps us from receiving.
Ooh. Our need to know is what keeps us from receiving. Is he advocating that ignorance is bliss? By not needing to know, then you can get a blessing? It's very dangerous what he's saying right here. But you know what? I don't think I disagree with him. I think people who know less about the world around them are happier than people who know more. I guarantee you that's the case. Guarantee it. If you don't believe me, what if I was all powerful and I zapped your brain with the knowledge of every crime that's being committed at this moment on the planet? You have that knowledge. I tell you, you would be a mess. Every child that's being raped right now, every person who's being burned alive right now, every person who's dying of cancer right now, a painful death. What if I were to zap that knowledge into your brain right now so you could see it all at one time? You would want to commit suicide. If the God of the Bible does exist, I wonder if Yahweh wants to end it all. I mean, if Yahweh slash Jesus slash the Holy Spirit is a personal God that has any type of empathy, who feels for his creation. A lot of Christians don't believe that, by the way. But what if he did? Wouldn't God want to commit suicide? I mean, for real, not just for a weekend? With all that knowledge of what's actually, all the bad stuff that's happening right under his watch? It's an interesting question. One I don't think I actually thought of when I was a Christian, about how if God is real, how much pain is God in right now, seeing all the things that he's allowing to happen, that he doesn't want to happen, but he allows it for morally sufficient reasons. Man, it must suck to be God.
That's what was so bad about that tree. Nobody even knows what fruit they ate. I hope it was delicious, because it really was expensive. Eve had to put her clothes back on. Just imagine, Chris, how it could have been. I called this message option number 3, when naked was normal.
When naked was normal.
Adam and Eve just walking around, nothing to hide. It is what it is. We are who we are. We're loved by God. We walk with him in the cool of the evening. We just pluck what we want, just anytime we want. Just, naked was normal.
Yeah, this is powerful what he's saying here. There's a lot of people who struggle with self-confidence, with their appearance. They're sick and tired of having to work so hard of what to eat or not eat so they don't get fat or too skinny. The clothes they wear so they look appropriate, the makeup, wigs. I mean, he's resonating with people right now saying, the way before the fall was you could just be who you are. I'm actually glad that Adam and Eve sinned in the garden and that they realized they were naked, because I don't know, maybe did Adam and Eve have knowledge of beauty before they took of the fruit? Because most people look really ugly naked. So I'm thankful that we wear clothes. There's freaks of nature out there who are absolutely gorgeous naked. But for the most part, like, well, let's take a poll. How many people in the live stream chat right now, if you were buck naked, would you say you look good? Type 1 for I look good naked. Type 0, I don't.
Didn't have to hide behind fig leaves. Didn't have to create a covering. Didn't have to create a persona. Didn't have to create a pretension of good behavior and pretend to be somebody that you're not. Didn't have to try to bear somebody else's fruit with plastic so you could be impressive to get people to like you. Just walking around because God made
I wonder if his wife has ever had Botox.
Me, because God breathed in me, because I am who God says I am. When naked was normal. When naked was normal.
Yeah, it's very powerful. God accepts you for who you are. Oh, here comes all the numbers.
But now it's more normal for us to hide. It's more normal for us to hide.
Wow, there's a lot of good-looking people in my live stream chat where they claim they are. You know, claims are evidence. And we have a lot of claims of people here who say they look good buck naked. Well, claims are evidence.
Cover ourselves. Compare ourselves. The first thing God asked Adam is the thing I want to ask you today. When Adam felt the shame, remember, shame is what makes you cover. Shame is what makes you shrink. Shame is what makes you pull back. Shame is what makes you believe, well, maybe I better not try. Shame is what makes you start staying up in the middle of the night thinking that maybe it's all going to catch up with me. But Christ died to take away my shame. And yet, the first thing Adam did when he believed a lie was to hide. And God said, and I want to say, who told you?
Did you guys catch that? God said, and I said. That's he didn't mean to compare himself to God, but sure sounds like it.
And I want to say, Adam did when he believed a lie was to hide. And God said, and I want to say, who told you that you were naked? Who told you that you were naked? Who told you that you had to do something else or be something else or have something else? Who told you that it took something extra for you to be accepted? Who told you that life has to be perfect for you to have a praise? Who told you that what you've known is what's normal? Who?
Ben Creative says, PineCreek, get saved in the name of Jesus Christ. The gospel is Jesus paid for your sins and he will accept you. But if you continue to deny the truth, hell is your place. Same as you all. Believe Jesus. Yes, Ben Creative, thank you for the, what do we call that? The comment. I'm sure everybody here knows what you just said. You've done your duty. You've obeyed Christ in the Great Commission in sharing the good news, and I reject it.
Who told you that?
And if you want to know why I reject it, well, start watching my YouTube videos.
Question. Who told you that? Yeah, well, I'm just not good with money. Who told you that? Yeah, well, I'm just not very good with, I'm gonna set a teenager free. I'm just not good with girls. Who told you that?
See, now this is where I kind of disagree with him, because there are people on this planet who are horrible with money. Who told you that? Me. How do I know? Outcomes. There are some people on this planet who are ugly. Who told you that? The rest of society. And you can tell it to yourself as well. What do they call it? There's an objective beauty standard, and that's based on proportions, the V shape, the body structure. But that's okay. You can be ugly and still have a happy life. It's not fair, but life's not fair. Who told you you're not smart? Well, a standardized test. Now, you can say that standardized test is doesn't mean anything or it's bad. But if it comes to solving the quadratic equation correctly, there are people who can do it correctly, faster, and better than you. Assuming you can't do it. This is, I think, one of the key things to having a better life is to be okay with saying, I'm a 4 out of 10 in looks. I'm probably on the 60th percentile on intelligence. It's just accepting. Now, you can improve in life with your looks and intelligence and so forth, but accepting where you're at that time. This is why, another reason why I'm against the whole idea of equity, in critical race theory, because it denies reality. The reality is some people are way, way, way better than others in certain things. And to try to make everyone equal is impossible. And oftentimes it ends up taking the people who are excellent in things and bringing them down, in also bringing people up. But you'll never, ever, ever get people to be equal in certain aspects. Truth hurts.
You could fake some swag so quick and have them lined up when the quarantine is over. I'm telling you, right? Who told you that? Who told you that? I'm just an introvert. This is a time where God is trying to get us to prune ourselves of perspectives that did not come from heaven. Who told you that? Did it come from God? See, because in this season of my life, I have got to focus on what He is speaking.
Yeah. How do you know what God's speaking? Do you know Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Paul is representing God? Do you know Isaiah, Daniel? They're representing God. Do you know that? He's basically saying, don't listen to anybody but God, or at least lower your confidence with what other people say, because they're just humans. But with God, you can trust. But you're not really trusting God. You're trusting what other men have said about God. Yes? But Doug, I got the inner testimony of the Holy Spirit. God has spoken to me directly. I hear what you're saying with the Bible, but I got direct revelation. Who told you that? That you got direct revelation? Did you find that in the Bible? Did you just hear it from someone else? Maybe you're self-deceived?
Prison sentences. I've got to let His word get in my life, my heart, my mind, transformed by the renewing of my mind, not conformed by my situation. Watch.
Hey, thank you, Jader Babe. PineCreek, I'm new here. I love your channel. It has helped me immensely. Thanks for doing what you do. Well, I really appreciate it.
This transformed by my revelation. Situation, revelation. Now, Paul saw it one way. Y'all see chains. I see opportunity. Paul saw it one way. Y'all see limitation. I see an opening. Paul saw it one way. Y'all see captivity. I see freedom. I see what God said, and I speak it over your life. Focus on the fruit. Focus on the fruit, not the frustration. He could have spent every sentence in Philippians. How would Philippians 4:13 be? I really have a headache right now and I'm sick of this. Would you quote Philippians 4:13 if he didn't focus on the fruit? He said, no, I'm going through stuff, but I can do what I went through, showed me what I can do because Christ is in me. Focus on the fruit.
Why is he shouting? He's shouting because, well, if you're cynical, you can say this is just all an act in a way to raise the endorphin levels of humans, a chemical response. Another answer could be he's shouting because he truly believes this stuff and he means it and he wants people to know that he's serious about it. It's probably a combination of both. But overall, I think for most human beings on the planet, this is more effective for most people. People who listen to my channel, maybe not. But can you imagine William Lane Craig shouting like this? The Kalam cosmological argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. I'd pay money actually to see William Lane Craig do that.
Because Paul said, I don't know. I don't know. Isn't it funny how he's so used to calling the shots that he's still talking like he has a choice? When you've been in charge a long time, my dad thought he could beat me up when he was sick in his bed and he couldn't move.
Uh-oh.
He still said, boy, I'll whip your so-and-so and stuff like that to me. I was walking around with muscles and stuff and he was laying in the bed. He was so used to being bigger and stronger than me.
Oh my. Yeah. Am I hearing what you guys are hearing? I'm hearing that he was abused as a kid by his dad. Isn't it amazing how many times you'll see this from preachers, pastors, apologists? Now, I know they say the same thing about atheists, right? Oh, yeah, you're an atheist because of daddy issues. I'm not going to do this, but I could make a list of 4 years I've been doing this, of the problems amongst the apologists I listen to. The past. Man. Which focuses on the need. Boy, there's so many names that are flying through my head right now. But when you have a terrible past, you need Jesus more, right? If your past is just nothing but flowers and roses, and you do have meaning and hope and purpose without God, at least you've deceived yourself into thinking that. I mean, why need Jesus? If you don't believe hell is real, you're convinced that there is no afterlife. Why? Tell me why I need Jesus? But if you've been abused, as a kid, and it seems like the whole world's against you, this is why Christianity is powerful. Because, in my opinion, this is why I think Christianity is always going to be bigger than Islam, even though Muslims procreate faster, is because of this reason right here. The concept of Jesus living in you, always there when your parents are not, always there for you when your friends have made you an outcast. You still have Jesus there with you. You can feel his presence. That's powerful stuff to people who are desperate. And I think the authors of the New Testament realized this. The authors of the New Testament realized that what greater love is there than someone caring about you so deeply that they're willing to die for you? I mean, I don't care if you're an atheist or not. That's attractive, yes? Someone who's so focused in on every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every year of your life, focused in on you and caring about you so deeply when nobody else will. How would you not want that? This is why I've said some apologists, the only way they'd leave Christianity is to give them $10 million and move them to Denmark, maybe Sweden. Because what you're doing, in essence, is you're reducing that need.
Paul is almost like that. He's waiting on a verdict. Do you live or die? And then look what he says. Are you ready for verse 17? Okay. He said, the former preach Christ has self-determination, not sincerely suppose they serve from me while I'm in chains. What does it matter? 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 What actually matters? When you get that clear, it'll set you free. When you get that clear, what actually matters?
That's a great question. Atheists in the live stream right now, what matters? What actually matters to you? What really matters to you? So often in the conversations we have between atheists and theists, we just get bogged down. It's like we're in a marsh. No, it's worse than that. It's like we're in quicksand. And both sides are just walking towards each other and sinking down with each step until we're like up to our necks and we can barely move. We're in quicksand talking about arguments for God, philosophical arguments for God, the historical method, personal experiences. And after a while, the frustration paralyzes us. So in a way, this is a great question to ask. Christians, you should ask this of atheists, and atheists, you should ask this of Christians. What really matters in this conversation? Are we just doing this for entertainment? Now, my YouTube channel's to entertain myself, but this is serious. Are we just yapping back and forth to entertain ourselves? But what really matters in this conversation? I'd say most of the time, none of those conversations really matter. But when people start talking about being abused, attempted suicide, I think we're starting to get on the track of what really matters in a conversation. Even death, eternal life, I think those are things that matter for a lot of people. This is why I often try to stay out of the weeds. Because most of the stuff, the reasons why people give, why they believe, or even don't believe, maybe are not the real reasons. You guys do know psychology is a science, right?
This one woman told me the best parenting advice.
I say that for Shannon Q. She loves me every time I say that.
Is don't spend your whole life chasing clean carpet, only to wish when your kids went to college that they could come back and mess it up one more time. She said her biggest regret was she spent her whole life chasing clean carpet. What actually matters? Do this in worship, right? I don't care if you hit the note right. I care if the note hits your heart right. I don't care if we have a mistake. I don't care. I don't care. Let me tell you about this sermon. I don't care if I'm grammatically correct. Who cares?
This is why Steven Furtick is smarter than most apologists. He doesn't care if he dots his I's or crosses his T's. He doesn't care about syllogisms, philosophical arguments. He's meeting people where they're at.
I care if the spiritual fruit, as a matter of fact, and this is yeah, I'm gonna say it. I don't really care if you like this message. I don't care. I mean, I do. I want you to like the message. I wouldn't post it on Instagram if I didn't want you to like it. That's literally how the system works. But I care more if this message bears fruit in your life than if you like it. I hope you fight me today in your mind. How dare he say it doesn't matter, this and that. He doesn't know what I'm going through. No, I don't. That's why I'm so glad I called Paul to preach, because Paul went through the stuff. Paul went through that this isn't fair. Paul was trying to do right. I don't think anybody helped people. I don't think anybody was smarter than Paul. That's why I was so surprised he said, I don't know. I'm like, oh, what? That's like one of my kids saying thank you. I'm like, what's happening right now? Is it the rapture? You can only imagine. But he said, I know what's important. Do you? Yeah, most of us don't.
I'll leave it there. I could say something right now about what really matters for me, but I think I won't. But I do notice that there's someone who wants to preach. If that person wants to talk to me, let me know. I'll let you on for the last 5 or 10 minutes. Chen, who is it? You were thinking of timing out someone? Oh, Ben Creative. Yeah, I'm willing to talk to Ben if he wants. Ben, you just have to say I want to come on, and then I'll give you a link, and all you have to do is press it. Is this the person who said that I need Jesus, or? I don't want to say it, Zachary, because I fear I might become too emotional. I'll pin the link. I have about 30 minutes before my golfing appointment. So if you do want to talk to me, don't hesitate. This is like an altar call. If you feel the Spirit leading to come in, don't tarry. If you feel God wants you to talk to me, do it now. Click the link. You might not have this opportunity again. I see that hand. Now come to the front. Let's see. This is not the person who I think wanted to come in. Go ahead. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
You need to get saved, man.
Alexio. Hey, Alexio, I remember you.
Doug.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, man. How are you?
Pretty good.
I didn't see your video. I just saw you were premiering. But it's funny you mentioned Steven Furtick because I'm actually applying to his church.
You're applying to his church to work there?
Yes.
Oh, wow. In what capacity?
Yeah. The Matthews campus, they have a opening for a youth pastor position.
When will you know if you get in?
So I have my interview tomorrow, actually at 1:45.
Do you get to speak to Steven?
No one gets to speak to Steven.
Or does he have handlers and stuff?
Oh, I mean, he has a staff, obviously, and he has a hiring staff and HR and stuff like that. So
this is in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, that's in North Carolina. I'm in Oregon, though. So if I took the job, I'd move across country.
Oh, so is this interview on Skype or Zoom or something?
Skype.
Yeah, okay.
Skype. I'm not sure what platform they're using, but.
So does it bother you that Steven Furtick's church, like a lot of the accusations against him is that he doesn't preach from the Bible that much? Although in this one I just did, he did quite a bit.
Right?
Yeah. But where's your stance on the prosperity gospel and that sort of thing?
I mean, every Christian that followed Jesus didn't have a great life. They had some really hard lives too. And the disciples didn't profit at all holding to the truth about Jesus. So I kind of stand in the place of money is amoral. You know, some of us get rich and some of us don't, but like really Jesus doesn't promise you prosperity, you know?
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't know how I feel like me personally about him. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think he's doing a great job building a culture that um, has people that love Jesus, and I think I don't know, like a lot of small churches pray for the big impact, but then the second they get big like that, all the small churches start hating on them, and it's like Christians are fighting
Jealousy.
against Christians. You know, it's just dumb.
Well, he's definitely way more effective than a lot of these flag waving phony apologists I listen to.
Yeah, I saw the title and I was like, I wonder what he was talking about specifically. I bet it's because Steven Furtick was mentioning something about having doubts or accepting doubt.
Yeah, it's basically admitting you don't know a lot of things.
Yeah, he got ripped on a video because he said that one of his campus pastors was giving an altar call. I don't know if you talked about this, but he was giving an altar call, one of his campus pastors, and the guy said, so if you're like ready to receive Jesus, or you're feeling, the call on your life, and you want to, confess him as Lord, then just pray this prayer. And then while he was praying the prayer, he said, believe in Jesus without a doubt. And then Steven Furtick was like, I talked to that campus pastor and I told him never again would an Elevation Church pastor say that from the pulpit because of that one clause, without a doubt. He's like, we're all clinging on to Jesus with doubts. And, and I was like, that's good. Like, that's true. We have doubts.
Yeah, you're denying reality if you say the opposite. So I think you would make a really good youth pastor.
Oh, thanks.
Because I think what I talked about today is I think you do meet people where they're at. And I think you get that from your mother.
Yeah. She's great.
For those of you who don't know, I've talked to Alexio's mother and Alexio at the same time. So do you need a recommendation from me? I can write something up.
I don't know if that will go so well. I'm trying to be really careful because I don't want to say anything that'll shoot myself in the foot, right now. But I always try to come forward with authenticity,
Yeah.
So
we'll see. And one of the reasons why I think Steven Furtick is better than Apologists or smarter is because he does understand that a lot of people's major issues in life is the pain and suffering. And so this message that I played was basically him saying things I agree with, that you can't control the world around you, but what you can control is your roots, having the foundation, bettering your own life, and working on your focus of fruits in your own life. And this is something that I think non-Christians can apply as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I actually was talking to a buddy recently. He went into some trouble, some hard times, and roots really determine like how you get out of the situation and what kind of, I guess, foundation you have to get like back you up. And I think the church is really good for that reason alone,
Is that a spare tire right behind your shoulder?
This is it like shoots out clay pigeons. Have you ever seen that for like a shotgun?
Yeah.
So it's connected to the tire, and that's the base of it. Yeah, you lay it down on the ground, and it shoots clay pigeons out, and you can shoot it with your shotgun.
Oh, are you a good shot?
Me personally, no, but a lot of people don't know that they're bad shots. So at least I know I'm a bad shot.
I tell you, I've shot so many guns as a kid, but as an adult, very few. But when I was a kid, I was a really good shot.
Were you?
Oh yeah. Don't ask me the things I've killed, but because then people get really mad.
other than people's faith.
Yeah, the only thing I shoot now is people's faith. Good one.
Anyways, listen, I got to go back to work, but I just wanted to call in and say hi. I love you. Support your channel. And
hey, if you get the job,
okay.
Maybe, I don't know, a few years from now, when you build up confidence in Steven and you both of you come on my channel.
Hey man, you never know the kind of connections you're making. Maybe I will take the job and I'll get the job and he'll say, Alexio, you're a great guy. I feel a power coming from you, and I want to go on that channel. We're going to talk to that Doug guy. We're going to get him saved.
Do you have any idea how much they're going to pay you if you get the job?
I have no idea. So, I mean, I don't even know if I'd talk about that, but maybe in the future when I'm there for a couple years. And I'm sure you could look that up, though. Yeah. I'm sure there's someone that's disgruntled. I've never been the guy that's disgruntled. I've always been appreciative of my employers, even when I got fired or let go. So, but I'm sure you could find somebody that's upset and would want to tell you all the ins and outs of Elevation. But for what I see, they're an amazing church. They're reaching lots of people with the gospel. And I forget who said it. I think it might have been Karl Barth, but he said no one has perfect theology. And that's just true. And I think these pastors know that too, especially these guys that are up there that are getting criticized day in and day out. They know that there's no one with perfect theology, and they're just trying their best to get it right. So
my intuitions say that you're going to get paid between 30 and 40.
I think that'd be a little low, to be honest.
Would you take the job if they paid 35?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm across the country. I'm married now. And I have stuff that I'd have to move.
Is your wife there with you?
No, I'm with my coworkers. This is Christian in the back.
Hey, Christian.
Is Jason. How's it going?
Good.
And this is Doug, or PineCreek, as you would know him on YouTube.
Are your friends Christians?
Yeah.
You can call me C squared.
Jason.
C squared.
Jason isn't a believer. He's our family, though.
Oh, what? He's not a believer?
No, he's not.
Well, have him come on my show. I'll convert him to Christ for you.
Oh, my goodness.
Struggle.
Well, you guys have a good day. I should let you go.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Nice meeting you guys.
Bye.
Bye. That was fun. Okay, last chance. Whatever your name is, who wants to talk to me? Ben Creative. Yeah, last chance. It's so interesting because I've interviewed Alexio 3-4 times, probably 4 times. Maybe this is the 5th time now. And it's interesting the relationships you make over time. Like, who knows if he does get this job with Steven Furtick, maybe that is a bridge that he comes on my channel. We have an honest discussion about Christianity. Life is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to start the music, and it's 2 minutes long, just under 3 minutes long. And that gives Ben a chance to work up some courage. Thank you, Vasco Elf. But don't love me too much. Yeah, Steven Furtick shows a little too much chest hair. I have a video where he showed a lot of chest hair. And then I imitated him at the end of that video. It's on my... Just search PineCreek. I'll put a link to it in the end screen to this one. If life is interesting, then God is interesting. That could be true. But Felix, you got to think about what you just said. If life is sinful, maybe God's sinful. If life is full of suffering and evil, maybe God is evil. You see how that can just be played back? But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take your words and flip them around on you. That's not who I am. Jephthah's daughter. Cool, my first live show. That's a great name. Jephthah. For those of you who know your Old Testament history, you know what that means. Furtick is worth 55 million. Well, that's how much, money he has. Question is he really worth it? Jerome Robinson, I'm assuming you don't object to Furtick and his preaching then. You don't see it as harmful? Oh, no. I have a video where I knock almost everything he says. But I'm the type of person that if I agree with someone, I'll say I agree with you, even though on other things I disagree. Oh yeah, Reed Nice Wonder put the link in here. A new kind of faith. If you want to see me preach, there it is. Just hit right click and just have the tab open, but don't watch it yet because Ben Creative's coming in soon. Yeah, I have a faith. He's that guy. Zachary Lahoki says, today your show some of the good stuff about Christianity. It's refreshing to see for a change. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Zachary. Christianity doesn't exist out of a vacuum. There's a reason why Christianity exists, because it does help people. If it didn't help people, it wouldn't exist. True story. Meaning of life is Quran filmed video. No, what I was going to say earlier, but I was scared I'd be too emotional, is I'm going golfing today, and my best friend here where I live, his dad, who I'm also friends with, is dying. So it will be an interesting round of golf. Well, I shouldn't say he's dying. We don't know for sure yet, but it sure looks like it. So, and I have years of memories. So that is what matters in life. Being there for your friends. My apologies to Steven Furtick. He was scheduled to come on and get a reference for Alexio, but we ran out of time. Have a great day, guys. Take care.